Hi there. I wanted to come on today because I'm going to begin recording some tracks of mindfulness. There's a lot out there on YouTube, and I know that. I am currently, we're in the midst of COVID-19, and I'm stuck at home and doing therapy at home. And I know many of you are in a season when you might be stuck at home as well. And it's important to have access to resources that can help us remain grounded and mindful during this time. And this isn't just limited to COVID-19 and quarantine. This is something that can really serve you for months and years to come. So I want to talk through what we call the butterfly hug today, which is something that is tied to a type of therapy we call EMDR. EMDR stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. I'm an EMDR therapist. Some of you might be my clients. You've experienced EMDR in session. Maybe you have been to a therapist and done EMDR before. I'm going to talk through my perception and my perspective of EMDR a little bit here. And in doing so, I have to share, I'm a person of faith, I'm a Christian, and I want to explain, because I know some of you might also be Christians and lovers of Jesus, and I want to explain how I take on this information in a way that serves my faith and my connection with the Lord, and invite you to consider how you might utilize this information as a resource for connecting with the Lord during this time and during your time of meditation and mindfulness. So first of all, I'm going to explain a little bit about the neurology of EMDR. Basically, in the 70s, we learned that through stimulating both sides of the body and asking questions in a specific order that lights up certain parts of the brain, we can essentially rewire the brain. Why would we want to do that? Well, because when we're in the midst of trauma, things can get stuck in our nervous system. It gets stuck in our memory system, and not all of it is visual memories. Not all of it is, oh, I remember, this one time I went through a terrible car accident or was a victim. It might actually be stored in sensory information. Maybe you smell something and you're like really agitated all of a sudden, and you might not be able to connect why that is. That's because your senses also pick up information and store them as memories. And some of this stuff can get stuck. And when it gets stuck, it shows up as anxiety, it shows up as depression, it shows up as dissociation, hypoarousal. We can have anger outbursts, irritability, inability to sleep. All of these can be symptoms of things that are stuck in our nervous system. And so really we learned a long time ago that this way of treating trauma can really speed things along, help open up neural network systems that have been shut down, help move information through very quickly so that individuals can recover. Okay, I'm going to add on my perspective as a Christian. So I see in the scriptures that we're given the mind of Christ. And that as we come under his rule and reign and give our lives to him, he sanctifies all of us. He sanctifies our imagination. He sanctifies our mind. Through the renewing of our mind, we're able to know him and walk in fullness of life. And I think it's so kind of him and so awesome that he would make it so that our imaginations are actually wired to bring healing to our nervous system and to our minds. We actually have fMRIs now, so we're able to look at the brain before this sort of bilateral stimulation and EMDR practice and after, and we're able to see, wow, it's healed. Things have changed. Things have shifted. We have a greater capacity for stress now that we've been through this practice or therapeutic intervention. It increases our pain tolerance. I think that's so fascinating and so important for us to know right now. I am going to teach you some bilateral stimulation that you can do at home on your own, because we are, for the most part right now, at home, stuck at home. And I want my clients, I want those of you who follow this channel to be able to utilize bilateral stimulation to serve you during this time and to enhance your ability to cope and walk in fullness of life, regardless of your faith orientation or where you find yourself today. So first of all, I want to explain there are 3 different methods of bilateral stimulation that we now use. Originally, it was just eye movements. So we would say, follow my fingers. There's also tapping. When you're in session with me, I might say, I would give you these options, and I would say you could use eye movements or we could use tapping. And that's simply on the side of the knees. I would just be tapping. Then there's also audio. So I have headphones that would like beep in one ear and then beep in the other ear and beep in that ear and go back and forth. So that's how we would stimulate both sides of the body and brain. Now we have buzzers, which are just little like things that vibrate in your hands. They go back and forth, and that's what I tend to use in my sessions. But I'm going to teach you today how to do your own bilateral stimulation. Here's what's really important about this. When we're in session, or when an EMDR therapist is serving you, you will notice that when we're processing through something and trying to open up those networks and get things moving along, we're inciting that sympathetic nervous system. We're trying to rev up the engine a little, and we go very quickly, okay? I would speed up the dial on my buzzers. When I'm installing an internal resource, which is a language we use in EMDR to just say, like we're teaching visualizations and places you can go in your mind, that will strengthen your ability to manage stress. When we're doing that, we go slow. And that's because we aren't trying to open up any trauma networks. We're not trying to get the sympathetic nervous system going. In fact, we're trying to get that parasympathetic system on board and calm your nerves. So today I'm going to teach you the butterfly technique, how to self-tap through using the butterfly technique. It's important to go slow. So you're going to kind of give yourself a hug like this. It feels good and it's good for you. It's good to give yourself soothing and calming touch. This is a good speed. This would be what you do at home. You can also rock back and forth. This will do the same thing of stimulating both sides of the brain. It'll calm your system and it helps to kind of network in whatever visualization you're doing. It vivifies it, is what we call it in EMDR. So it brings it to life for your senses. So you'll notice in some visualizations that I give you and then I walk you through, I invite you to notice your 5 senses as you're sitting in this place in your imagination, or as you're watching God as your protector, or engaging with the Lord as a nurturer, or however you envision a nurturer being. I'll ask you to tap or to go slow, and that's what I'm referring to. So the rocking, you've noticed babies enjoy being rocked. Also, it helps the parent. When women are in labor, you'll notice they rock too. It's because it's really soothing. So here is my butterfly technique teaching. I hope it's helped you, despite where you're coming from today, and where you are in your spiritual journey or your journey toward mindfulness. I hope that this is a resource for you that you can use and that will serve you. And I look forward to posting more meditations in the coming weeks and days that might serve you during this time. Thanks for tuning in.